My predominant feeling about milkmen is one of guilt. I have, on a few occasions, stepped blearily out of a nightclub to encounter a milkman starting his round, and my plan to interview the man who delivers to our street for this essay fell repeatedly foul of my inability to get up in time. Not that I myself have a delivery from him. I buy my milk from a supermarket, which in turn compounds my guilt. Evidently, I am not alone in this feeling. My stepmother recently told me that she's been trying to get rid of her milkman for years. He's quite expensive, and it would be so much easier to just buy it when I need it. Trouble is, he's been delivering to her for 30 years. He's a lovely chap, and he won't take a hint. I'll say, I'm going away. I'll have to stop the order for quite a while. And he'll say, Oh, no bother. When do you want to start again? According to figures produced by Dairy UK, the voice of the dairy industry, doorstep delivery accounted for 89% of milk sales in 1989. In 2015, the figure was 2.8%. Meanwhile, the opposite has occurred with retail sales. The root cause is the availability of milk at low cost in supermarkets. Until the mid-60s, milk was generally not available in such supermarkets as existed. The liberalisation of retail by the Resale Prices Act of 1964 allowed supermarkets to sell milk and to sell it cheaply. Anyone who, like me, is old enough to have received free milk at school is likely to associate milk provision with a benign paternalism. The milkman of the past seems less the beneficiary of a retail monopoly and more like an agent of the welfare state. He also symbolises a more innocent world, before the mass car ownership that allowed people to carry a week's worth of milk home from the supermarket in one trip, and before the streets of terraced houses, ideal for milkmen with all those quickly accessible doorsteps, were replaced by high-rise flats, requiring the milk float, which unfortunately could not float, to be left in the street at the mercy of vandals and thieves. My own nostalgia here is tied in with happy memories of Dennis, the milkman who delivered to our boyhood home in York. He seemed enthusiastic about his job, if the way he leapt out of his milk float before it came to a stop was anything to go by. It always did come to an obedient stop on the right place, an echo of the earlier horse-drawn era, when it was said that a milkman's horse would know when to start and when to stop without being told. Dennis would let me drive his milk float for a few yards, a fascinatingly simple process that involved pressing one pedal, like a bumper car. He delivered to us every day, which perhaps made him a traditionalist, because in 1979 the dairy industry began a campaign to acclimatise people to Sunday as a milkless day, even though it had once been the milkiest day, with notes inscribed, "An extra pint, please," because of the Sunday lunch pudding. In fact, we saw Dennis more than once a week, because he sometimes came around unencumbered by milk, in an empty float, and possibly at 5 o'clock in the evening. It was fascinating to see him at large at this time, in order to collect payment. Dennis delivered to everyone in the street, and if anybody hadn't taken the milk in, that would prompt lurid speculations, and eventually someone would knock on their door, possibly Dennis himself, who was certainly public-spirited. He once summoned aid from a neighbour when my mother cut her finger very badly while opening a tin. I stress that Dennis had no more intimate involvement with my mother. Milkman jokes have gone the way of milkmen.